As he hits the end of the pit lane, that's the first time that Michael's led at Indianapolis since 1986 when he led the opening 42 laps. But as he was in the pits, Emerson Fittipaldi got past and back into the lead. Let's go to Jackaroo.
Well, Emerson Fittipaldi was the first of the leaders to put on pit road, and in contrast to the way Al Unser Jr. came into the pits, Emo came in a tad hot. He locked up the wheels and skidded to a halt. And Chip Ganassi, you're the co-owner of the Patrick Racing team. It was a little bit out of the ordinary, but the crew went to work and didn't make any adjustments at all in the car except for fuel. Why?
No adjustments. Emerson's very happy with how the car's running. We're right according to plan. We're half the distance here and a lot of race left.
Do you think about the win at all right now, or do you just not want to talk about it?
Not at all. We got a lot of race to go here. I've been here a lot of times, Jack, and there's a hell of a lot of race to go.
Well, that's the story from Fittipaldi's pit, but they are certainly counting on more of what they've seen in the beginning of this race.
All right, Chip Ganassi here now as a car owner, as a race driver for a number of years. Emerson Fittipaldi back into the lead of the 500. And here is the Michael Andretti car moving around the course.
You know, Paul, you mentioned that Michael hasn't led for 3 years. How unique it is to lead.
Michael Andretti runs in second place. In third place is Al Unser Jr. Let's just be quiet for a moment and listen and ride with Michael Andretti. With Michael Andretti. He currently runs in second place behind the leader of the race, two-time world driving champion Emerson Fittipaldi. In third place is Al Unser Jr. Rick Mears is a lap behind the race in fourth. We'll be back. Back live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Beautiful blue skies overhead. The pylon that scores the cars at the start-finish line. The drivers actually use that as a reference point. Look up and see what position they're being scored in. And when Emerson Fittipaldi looks up, he is being shown in position number 1, the leader of the Indianapolis 500. He's been a dominant force as you watch from the blimp overhead, and he works his way around this circuit at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The average speed of the race at the halfway point, 100 laps, just 2 laps ago, was 167.9 miles an hour.
Paul, the ironic thing about it is that has to do with pit stops and yellows. Emerson Fittipaldi's really raised the price of poker racing-wise. He's been running 217 and 218 mile an hour laps, and that is awesome at this point in the race.
Emerson Fittipaldi was not expected to dominate the race quite the way he has now. But when you think of this man's long and fascinating life, in some ways, it really is no surprise. In fact, Emerson, in a sense, has had 3 lives, 3 complete, separate, and successful lives. His first, of course, and the one that is perhaps still to this day best known, was as a Formula One driver. He was a racing prodigy, and he developed so fast that he won the first of his 2 world championships when he was just 26 years old. Here he is winning that first championship at Monza in 1972. His second life was as a retired racing driver, a budding business entrepreneur. This is a 200,000-acre orange tree plantation in Araraquara, Brazil. A Mercedes-Benz dealership and automotive accessory company followed. He's not maybe a threat yet to Roger Penske, but he is a very wealthy and successful man, and I say quickly, his third life, of course, is as an Indy driver, and you see the two people that are supporting him the most in that, his wife, Teresa, and his car owner, the oil man, Pat Patrick.
Well, the question, Bobby Unser, that has been worrying me for the past few laps, we know that the clutch system on two of the Penske cars, two PC8 teams, has had a problem. It hasn't manifested itself yet on Rick Mears' car. But if it's a design problem, then does the same design exist on the leader's PC8 team?
Well, Paul, I really don't think by now, because we've got two of them had the problem, two of them have not had the problem. I don't think it's a design problem. I think it's a mere matter of an adjustment and the hydraulic fluid getting hot and just releasing the clutch gently.
There's the 1986 Rookie of the Year in Indy cars, Dominic Dobson, as he works his way around this track. What a great story he's been today. He started 29th. He's now running in 9th place. 20 positions he moved up.
Watch for Dominic Dobson in the next few years. He is somebody that is on every top car owner's short list of drivers that they would like to hire if one of their key men drops out. Dominic Dobson from Stuttgart, Germany, has a big future in this sport. He is a very sensible man. He has an engineering background. He keeps calm in almost any circumstances. Big future.
Military parents, born over in Stuttgart. I spent a little time in Stuttgart. My dad was in the Army, too, and a lot of us spent time in Stuttgart, Germany. Now, of course, it's that area from which the Porsche comes. We take a look as Dominic Dobson comes down the main stretch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They had a great run at Phoenix earlier this year. He's really taking to these ovals, so we'll keep our eyes on Dominic Dobson.
29 years old.
Leader of the race continues to be Emerson Fittipaldi. Second place is Michael Andretti. Al Unser Jr. is in third place, but he is a lap behind the leader of the race. Let's go to the pits, Jerry Punch.
Well, Paul Page, it's my pleasure to report a good report on Kevin Cogan. Just moments ago, I talked with Catherine Walsh-Miller down at Methodist Hospital of Indiana, and 33-year-old Kevin Cogan has been released. Now, he has abrasions and contusions, basically bumps and bruises, and that's all. A miracle when his March Cosworth was severed in half up out of turn 4. So Kevin Cogan released just moments ago, Paul.
That's absolutely amazing. That same accident 25 years ago would have resulted in a true tragedy, and here Kevin Cogan. Okay.
That's right, Paul, and if you remember seeing that shot which happened earlier in the show, the engine came completely loose. The transmission engine gathered from the car almost came in and hit him in the cockpit while the car was into the wall. So it's just short of a miracle that Kevin is as good as he is, and we're certainly happy.
Last night I was over at the motel adjacent to the track where many of the drivers stay, and I was asked, what about the fast speed of the race? There's Paul Newman as he watches both Michael and Mario Andretti. He, of course, is one of the co-owners, along with Carl Haas of Newman Racing. I was asked, how fast will the fastest lap of the race be? Well, take a look at Emerson Fittipaldi. My guess was 221 miles an hour. He just cut a lap at 220 miles an hour while he was running in the open. Then he came back into traffic, and his lap speed dropped off to 216 miles an hour. But they're setting an incredible pace at the Indianapolis 500. Now, the record to this point is Bobby Rahal's record from 1986 of about 176.2 miles an hour. Emerson Fittipaldi dropped low to get past A.J. Foyt. 176 is the record. They're just 9 miles behind that right now, but they're running very clean at the moment, and we just may see a record race.
It's an incredible thing, you know, merely to lead this race, but merely to be in the race. To be a driver in the Indy 500 puts you in pretty exclusive company. You figure there are 624 players playing right now in Major League Baseball, whereas from the first race here in 1911 until now, the whole history of this event, only 580 men, and of course 1 woman, have competed.
580 men, 1 woman, that woman being Janet Dudley, who ran her last race here just 10 years ago. Emerson Fittipaldi works his way around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The key factor in the Indianapolis 500-mile race, down the home stretch. A man who really concentrates on his race driving. Concentration being so critical, we ask him, how difficult is it to be focused?
I think it's a demand on yourself. On yourself with time, with experience, and knowing exactly what you are doing. You can be under pressure, but you can be focused without being nervous about it. I think that's a big difference on being focused under pressure but not being nervous. And as long as you can separate that,